Does Sara mean plate? Anyway, what's bugging me the most is if there was a version of the kid that did not have amnesia in Lemu or whatever you want to pronounce it, and then Lemu got flooded and everybody evacuated except for the 7 characters that are left, then that would mean that the non amnesia version of the kid evacuated out. So, did the kid, by going back in time, manage to indirectly cause his old self not to go into the loop? So that there is a version of the kid that went into Lemu, it flooded and just evacuated, and just never experienced any of this plot whatsoever, and another version of the kid that's just stuck there disjointly in a loop, kind of broken off completely from the main timeline of his life. Anyway, maybe the reason why Tsumugi doesn't trust the kid is that she might have met the non-amnesia version of the kid. Now, so she doesn't believe he actually has amnesia for that reason. Now, that's not been recorded in the gameplay I've seen so far. Only Takeshi has seen the non-amnesia version of the kid. It doesn't seem to have to put that together. Okay, let's just jump right into this.
こんなにも早い時間に皆さんにお集まりいただいたのは他でもありません。
I'm sorry that I had to gather you so early. There was no other way. Yes, they all got no sleep, except for Takeshi, which only got about 5 hours of sleep. Now, if I get 6 hours of sleep, I feel terrible the next day and following days. If I get 7 hours of sleep, I feel less terrible but still terrible. If I get 8 hours of sleep, I almost feel good. If I get 8.5 hours of sleep, I feel good. If I don't ever get more than that because my body will wake up automatically.
実は皆さんに一刻も早くお知らせしなければならないことがあったのです。
Actually, everyone, there is something I need to tell you right away. Sora paused for a second. Sora looked over all 5 of us. You, Sara, Tsumugi, Takeshi, and finally me. The cooling fan whirred away in the silence. Why would it need to cool something? You would think you would need to heat the facility, not cool it. Occasionally, the sound of metal on metal would ring through the room. The 5 of us waited on Sora's next words.
昨夜、小町さんを除く4人の皆さんが加減圧室に入られた後、
Last night, after the 4 of you, apart from Tsumugi, entered the pressurization chamber,
私はこの制御室でここからの脱出方法や外部への通信手段について考えていました。
I was in the control room here thinking about ways to escape or contact the outside.
そして、
And
レミュー内の状況を一つ一つ調べていくうちに、ある事実が判明したのです。
while I was checking the internal status of Lemu, I discovered something.
脱出するルートが見つかったの？
You found a way of escape?
いいえ。
No.
ってことは、外部へ連絡する方法が？
And a way to contact the outside?
それもまだです。
Not yet.
じゃあどんなことが分かったと？
Then what did you figure out?
圧力隔壁の耐久強度、その限界が分かりました。
I discovered the strength of pressure that bulkheads can withstand. I found their limits. Saying that, Sora turned her eyes to the side of the console. In the darkness, a 3-dimensional image of Lemu sprung up. Pressure bulkhead. What?
レミューの壁のことです。外側の海水と内側の空間を隔てている部分。
I mean Lemu's walls, the partitions between the outer seawater and the inner air.
その限界が分かったってどういうことなの？
What do you mean when you say you found the limit?
昨日もお伝えしましたように、レミューは基本的に飽和潜水仕様の設計をもとに建造された構造物です。
Like I said yesterday, Lemu is a structure basically constructed on a saturation diving specification design.
つまり内部の気圧が外部の水圧と同等か、またはそれを上回るような構造になっていたということです。
In other words, the internal air pressure equals or is greater than the external water pressure.
しかし、今や館内の気圧は1気圧。
However, the complex's internal air pressure is currently at 1 atmosphere.
ですから、
Therefore,
レミューの外核は常に苛烈な水圧の力にさらされているということになる。
the Mu's outer shell is constantly being subjected to severe water pressure.
はい。
Correct.
ところがレミューはもともとこのような状況に長く耐えられるようには作られていない。
But the Mu is not constructed to endure the situation for a long period of time.
必然的にいつかは限界が訪れることになる。
Inevitably, it will, at some point, reach its limit.
おっしゃる通りです。
Well put, you. What is that limit going to be? 17 days? 9 hours?
で、その限界っていうのはいつ？
So when is this limit?
レミの計算によると、今から
According to Lemieux's calculations,
119時間後。5日後でしょ。
in 119 hours, or 5 days from now, right? Well, if that's correct, then the length of this game is about the same as Never 7, because the cycle was 6 days long in Never 7. That's why it's called Never 7. The first 4 days were common route, and you get up in a route on the 5th day, and then the 6th day, you never went through the full day. Disaster would always strike in the morning. So that's about 5¼ days. And and here we've already gone through 1 whole day. So yeah, it's about 6 days total. Yeah, it's about the same amount of time. So this isn't a 17-day long game. I guess the 17 comes from 17 minutes to compress, and it occurs in the year 2017. We stared in tandem at Tsumugi, and because both Tsumugi and Sora together did not go into the decompression chamber, it seems like they're both kind of know the same information, and so they're kind of in on the same thing.
よくご存知ですね。警備室の端末でお調べになったのですか？
You are well informed. Did you look that up on the security office terminal?
そうです。小町さんがおっしゃった通り、
No, it's because Tsumugi was assigned to set up the situation as well and aware of the tolerances of timelines she was working with. It's exactly as Tsumugi says.
完全悪化推定時刻は5月7日午前4時30分前後となっています。
The estimated time of implosion is approximately 4:30 a.m. on May 7th.
もちろん、あくまでも推定ですから誤差はありますが、
Of course, it is only a calculation and there is a margin of error.
プラスマイナス12時間程度。それが誤差の範囲ね。
Plus or minus 12 hours, is that the margin of error?
はい、そうですが、
That is correct, but that pushed us into silence. So this is probably going to go down to the wire where they're going to hit 4:30 and go, there's a margin of error, so they're going to keep going. Or it's just going to suddenly hit early, I don't know. It seemed like everyone was lost in thought. We knew for sure that we were in serious trouble. Sora's words had shaken us a bit. But 5 days sounded like a long time, and it really didn't register with me. I kept thinking that a rescue team would arrive at any time. So I didn't really feel that it was worth worrying about. Sora, can I summarize what you said to make sure I got it? At 4:30 a.m. on May 7th, the walls of Lemieux will reach the limit of the pressure that they can handle. But that might happen at 4:30 p.m. on the 6th or at 4:30 p.m. on the 7th. Is that right so far?
ええ、
Yes. So doesn't the opposite also hold true? I mean, at the worst, Lemieux will be fine until 4:30 p.m. on May 6th. So we're fine until then and have nothing to worry about.
絶対に安全だと断定することはできませんが、
It might be like a Gaussian distribution kind of thing, where there's a non-zero probability of implosion right now.
でも確かにレミの計算結果から判断するとそうなりますね。
But judging from the results of Lemieux's calculations, that would appear to be the case. Yeah, margins of error don't work exactly like that. They're usually 1 sigma, and so there's a non-zero probability that it could actually implode before then. But I think the game is trying to tell me that it's getting like, okay, gamer, person playing this game. Just to be clear, we're telling you as the authors, it will not implode until 4:30 p.m. on the 6th. Just to, not have to make that a mystery. To keep it simple, okay?
なんだ。
Oh, so that's it.
要するに6日までに誰かが助けに来てくれればいいわけでしょ？
So as long as help comes by the 6th, then we are okay?
そうだよね。あと1日でなんて言われたら思わず泣き出しちゃったかもしれないけど。
I see. If you had said we only have one more day or something, I might have burst out crying.
まだまだ時間は十分あるんだし、それまでにはきっと誰かが助けに来てくれるでしょう。
So we still have lots of time. Someone will surely come to help us before that. This game is long, apparently. The tension in the air broke, and sighs of relief could be heard from the room. Tsumuki, having gotten the information somewhere before us, was smiling to herself smugly. It was 5:50 a.m.
はあと。
Takeshi gave a large yawn. Sora and I sat cross-legged on a bench in the rest area. About half an hour later, the floor was covered with water. That was good,
ごちそうさん。
I'll say. We had just polished off fried chicken sandwiches that Takeshi had made for us. As for the other four, I guess they're just going to be eating fried chicken all week. Sora was, as usual, cooped up in the control room trying to make contact with Lemay. Tsumugi was vanished without saying where she was going. Takeshi had gone to deliver sandwiches to Sora and Tsumugi. Yu was changing clothes. Apparently, she had spilled something on them while eating. Fortunately, her normal clothes were safe in the changing room in the dry area.
ねえ、お腹もいっぱいになったことだし、ゲームでもやらない？
Like, is there going to be a sprite change? Hey, I'm full now. Why don't we play a game? A game?
うん、山手線ゲームとか3文字しりとりとか。
Yeah, the Yamanote line game or a word game.
そうだ、じゃんけんモノマネゲームやろうよ。
I know, rock, paper, scissors charades. This is going to turn into this mathematical illustration of some sort.
じゃんけんして勝った方がお題を出すのね。
We play and the winner gets to choose something.
で、負けた方がそのお題のモノマネをするの。オッケー？
And the loser has to mimic it, okay?
せーの、チケピー。
Ready? Jin Kin Pi.
ちょっと、ちゃんと手出してよ。
Come on, put your hand out. I haven't said I'm going to play, and what is that Yan Kin Pui?
チケピはじゃんけんの掛け声。
It's what you say when you play rock, paper, scissors.
やるかやらないかは、やるで決まり。
And as to whether or not you're going to play, you are. Who said you could decide?
うるさい。いいからやるの。
Be quiet, now let's play.
このままボケーっとしててもつまらないでしょ？
Not doing anything is boring, right? Oh, alright.
素直でよろしい。
Now that's more like it.
それじゃあいくよ。
Okay, here we go.
せーの、チケピ。
Ready? Nyan Ken Pi. I was paper and Sarah went scissors.
やったね。私の勝ち。
Haha, I won.
というわけで、お題はね、
So I pick
サバ。
salmon. Salmon? You mean like a fish? Yep.
それじゃあ張り切って行ってみよう。
So let's see it. Salmon. Salmon. Salmon, 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 salmon. I opened and closed my mouth like a fish, gyrating my hips around and doing my best to become a salmon. Sarah was laughing and holding her stomach. It looked like I had been a good salmon. Alright, now I'm warmed up, let's go again.
せーの、チケピ。
Is she just gonna win over and over and over again? It's gonna be one of those game of concentration nonsenses. I went scissors and Sarah went paper. Oh, okay, never mind.
あー、負けたー。 お願いだから変なお題出さないでよ。
Please don't give me a weird one, okay? Please, please. I decide to make her act like Minnie Mouse. Hi, Sort. You, a spoiled baby. Now, I'm trying to remember where we heard Caesar before in this game. I don't know. I mean, it might be simple. That might be something simple like you say, you know, I will remain constant as the North Star or something. Anyway, yeah, I need reminded of this plot point, so we'll go with Caesar. Caesar, please.
できるかボケ。
How can I be Caesar, you idiot?
っていうか真似できる人なんかいないっしょ。
I don't think there's anyone who can become him. Those are the rules.
そんな。
Hey, no way. Then Sara Matsunaga becomes Caesar.
ほん。
Oh, him.
拙者毛利元就と申す。
My name is Caesar.
早きこと風のごとく、静かなること林のごとく、侵略すること火のごとく、動かざること山のごとし。
Doth you, Hamlet, defy you, Lord? Et tu, my friend Hamlet, lend me some ears, not in my empire. So apparently, they expect this Japanese audience for this game to know Shakespeare, which I thought was primarily like something that only English people really study, but maybe it's not. I don't know. So, et tu, Brute, is indeed a line from Caesar. Lend me some ears is some bad translation, translating there and back of lend me your ears, probably a bad localization of Mark Antony's speech from what's it called? Shakespeare's fancified fiction tale of Caesar. So it's from the play about Caesar, but it's not by Caesar. It's from one of Caesar's political allies.
いざ出陣。
It's war.
パカラパカラパカラパカラパカラパカラ。
He probably rode a horse. Yeah, my stomach hurts. It really hurts. You are too funny.
そんなに笑わなくてもいいでしょ。
You don't have to laugh that much. Well, that's what you did. But because that wasn't Caesar, but a mixed up Hamlet. And then,
何やってんの？
what are you doing? You appeared and her changed clothes. Yep, we get a sprite change. Okay. We were playing rock, paper, scissors charades.
じゃんけんモノマネゲーム？なんか面白そうだね。私も入れて。
You're playing rock, paper, scissors charades? That sounds fun. Can I play?
いいですよ。
Sure. Sarah explained the rules to you.
オッケー、わかった。
Okay, I got it.
それじゃあ行きますよ。
Alright, then let's play.
せーの、チッケピ。
Ready, Young can pee. Just then, the lights illuminating the room started to flicker. Instinctively, we looked at the ceiling. Listening carefully, I heard a sound like the rumble of thunder far away. And then one area just got closed off.
何かな？
What could that be? Waves formed in the wall. Okay, waves formed in the water pooled on the floor. It just got wrapped. The text got wrapped, but there's a Y there. I don't know what the Y is. What kind of adjective? Well, tiny waves. Some adjective got cut off there. The walls and ceiling trembled slightly, metal screeched on metal.
まさか
Could be. Couldn't be what?
ほら昨日の浸水の時と似てないこれ
Doesn't that sound a lot like when the water that flooded in yesterday? It's not quite a proper sentence. The blood appeared to drain from the faces of you and Sara in the flickering light. Immediately after that, we are blanketed in darkness. The tremors and sounds stopped, but an eerie silence filled the area. Only the emergency lights showed weakly.
停電停電だ
Blackout. It's a blackout. So maybe just like the power station got flooded.
他のみんなは
What about everybody else? Where are Takeshi, Tsumugi, and Sora? Wait, all the generators are down deep under sea, right? We see them in the opening cutscene. Like there's like turbines down there. So it wouldn't be the source, so it'd be some sort of like intermediate step. Where are Takeshi, Tsumugi, and Sora?
つぐみと空
Tsumugi and Sora.
でつぐみはどこに
Oh, where is Tsumugi? Sara and I shook our heads in the darkness.
とにかく倉成とつぐみを探しに行こ
Anyway, let's go looking for Takeshi and Tsumugi.
う空は
Sora.
空は
Sora is...
今はいいの
Let's not worry about her for now. What?
話はあと今は二人を探す方が先よ
I'll tell you later. Looking for those two is the top priority right now. You are starting to not trust Sora. I can see why. You started running. Sara and I followed her without knowing what was going on. Until we reached the front of the control room, but that's where Sora was supposed to be. The power was out, so the door didn't open automatically. You pulled the lever next to the door and opened it manually. The three of us went inside.
倉成つぐみいたら返事して
Takeshi Tsumugi, if you are there, then answer. You shouted out into the darkness. I wondered why she was only calling out to Takeshi and Tsumugi. Sora. Sora. I called to Sora, but there was no answer. Sora should have been here. I wonder where she could have gone. Well, maybe to the restroom? You had picked up a flashlight at some point. I imagine she had gotten it somewhere in the control room. You turned it on. A white circle of light appeared on the wall. You shined the flashlight right and left, lighting up all corners of the room. The electrical system was completely down. Like an abandoned castle, there were no sign of warmth left. There was clearly nobody there.
誰もいないみたいね
Doesn't seem like there is anyone here. We left the room.
ちょっとこれ持ってて
Can you carry this? You handed me the flashlight and shut the control room door. Just then, splash, splash, splash. He's probably Takeshi. We heard the sounds of someone running toward us through the water. After a short while, two figures emerged from the darkness. Oh, Takeshi. At least I was right about that.
つぐみ
Tsumugi. Takeshi and Tsumugi approached, walking through water. Hey, have you seen Sora?
制御室にいたんじゃねえのか？
I thought she was in the control room.
それがもぬけの殻で
It was empty.
本当か？
Really? Takeshi used the manual lever to open the door. He looked inside. Well, I don't know why it was closed. Maybe it's spring-loaded. Do you want a flashlight?
ああ、サンキュー。
Yeah, thanks. Takeshi took the flashlight, turned it on, and went into the room.
たく、こんな時にどこ行っちまったんだ空のやつ。
Geez, where would Sora go at a time like this? Takeshi said that when he emerged from the control room.
さてとどうしますか
So, what are we going to do? You said this calmly. It had been a series of emergencies since the day before. Maybe we were all completely used to it. In any case, none of us were freaking out.
とりあえず
For now,
みんなで手分けして空を探すしかないんじゃないの？
all we can do is split up and look for Sora.
空がいなかったらなんで停電したのかだってわかんないんだし。
Without Sora, we don't know why there's been this blackout. Yeah, Sora knows more about Lemieux than anyone.
空
Sora.
ね。空か。
Sora ka.
ん
もうしょうがないかな。
Maybe it's time.
この際だから言っちゃうけど、
Since it has come to this, I'll tell you.
空は探しても見つからないと思う。
I don't think we'll find Sora even if we look.
え？
Huh? What?
どうして？
Why not?
理由は私の口からは言えない。
I can't tell you the reason.
そういうことはちゃんと本人から説明しないと。
That's something you should hear from Sora herself.
ん？
She's gonna pull out a message from Sora that she found somewhere.
あ？
とにかく私の言ってることを信じて。
Anyway, just take my word for it.
心配しなくても空は無事だから。
You don't have to worry, Sora is just fine. Dear, I have to guess this now. Because, yeah, it's either Sora left a message for you on a device of some kind and left it behind and you found it. But... why does you know so much stuff now? Because if Sora was evacuated and no one else was, they were just left behind intentionally, then you would know that this whole thing is intentional. That's just too much. There's too many characters in on it now.
必ず戻ってくるから。
And she will come back for sure. Maybe Sora's going down to the generators? Come back? You ignored my question.
わかったわ。
I see.
で、あなたはどうするつもりなの？
So what are you going to do?
発電室に行ってみようと思って。
I think we should try the generator room.
発電室？
A generator room?
この停電の原因は発電機のトラブルにあると思うの。
I figured that the cause of this blackout is trouble in the generator room. That reminded me of something Sora had said the day before. Lemieux didn't receive any power from the outside, but had an in-house generating system. There was a thermal seafloor vent where hot water was pumped out of the seabed, and heat from that was used to operate generators.
つぐみも一緒に来てくれるでしょ？
Tsubugi, you'll come along, won't you?
あいにくだけど、その手には乗らないから。
Sorry, but I'm not up for it.
え？
What?
私は行かない。
I'm not going.
行きたいなら勝手にどうぞ。
If you want to go, be my guest. Saying that, Tsumugi left. It didn't look like it would be any use calling after her.
まったくもう本当にわけのわからんやっちゃなあいつは。
Geez, I have no clue what is going on in that girl's head.
しょうがない。4人で行くしかないね。
Oh well, the four of us will have to go.
ナッキョ先輩、その発電室っていうのはどこにあるんですか？
Nakyu senpai, where is the generator room?
発電室はここ、ドリットストックにあるの。
The generator room is here in Dreetstock.
よーし、そんじゃ早速行くとするか。ゆう、案内してくれ。
Alright, let's get a move on. Can you lead the way? Takeshi started walking toward the corridor.
ちょっと倉成、どこ行くつもりなのよ。
Hey Takeshi, where do you think you're going?
どこって発電室に行くんだろ？お前が言ったんじゃんか。
Where? To the generator room, of course. It was your idea to start with, right?
それで、あんたはどうやって行くつもりなの？
And just how do you intend to get there?
あ？そんなの通路を歩いてに決まってるじゃないか。
How about walking through the corridors, dummy?
やれやれ。やっぱりちっ とも分かってないんじゃない。
Please, you really don't get anything, do you?
それどういう意味だよ。
Oh, what is that supposed to mean? Hey, you. I don't think I get it either.
私も。
Me neither.
みんな、昨日見たレミューのマップ覚えてないの？
You guys don't remember the map of Lemu we saw yesterday?
マップマップね。
Map?
確か3階のマップはエリアが2つに分断されてましたよね。
Oh, you mean the three-story map that had the areas split into two areas? Oh, that's right.
クラナにも思い出せた？
You remember it too, Takeshi?
鮮明にとまではいかないけど、ある程度は。
I can't say I remember it exactly, but kinda, yeah.
じゃあ、その2つのエリアの間には何があった？
What was between those two areas?
何がって言われてもな。
Between them, how am I supposed to know? I don't think that there was anything.
そう。
Exactly.
ということは？
Which means the two areas are divided by a block which is now underwater.
だから？
So,
制御室のあるエリアから発電室のあるエリアへは直接移動することができない。
you can't go directly from the control room area to the generator room area. Besides that, the emergency stairs of one of those areas was also flooded.
だとしたら？
Meaning what?
ああ、そういうことか。
Oh, I get it.
発電室のあるエリアに降りるには、2階の。
To get to the generator room's area, we have to access the second floor.
中性浮力式エレベーターを利用する以外、方法はないんだ。
And the only way we can do that is by using the neutral buoyancy elevator.
ご名答。
Correct.
だから私たちが向かわなければならないのは。
So we have to go to the entrance to the neutral buoyancy elevator.
そういうこと。
That's right.
さて、理解してもらったということで、いざ
Now
行
that you've,
動開始。
now that you've got it, let's get going.
御意でござるよ。ニンニン。
Ready, set, go, ninja. Sara took a bizarre kung fu pose and started spinning like a top. But I had no clue what she was trying to do. Before going for repairs, we had to secure tools. When the four of us ascended from Zweetstock, we stopped by the warehouse first. Fortunately, we found the tools we needed right away. Pliers, a spanner, a screwdriver, a hammer, a small welding machine, etc., etc. We packed all the tools we imagined we might need into a toolbox and headed for the neutral buoyancy elevator. The neutral buoyancy elevator, EI. EI meant egg in German. It was also a literal take on the egg-shaped elevator that traveled up and down rails inside the ocean on the side of Lemur. A ballast tank was attached to the floor. It would take in or release seawater from the tank as necessary to increase or reduce buoyancy, thus making the elevator rise or sink. Once we were inside, we sealed the watertight doors on the Lemieux side of the elevator. All we had to do was release the lock connecting us to Lemieux, and the egg would sink away. You pulled the operating lever next to the door. Nothing happened.
なんだよ。全然沈まないじゃないか。
What's going on? We're not sinking at all.
そうみたいね。
It doesn't seem like it. So you think it's because the power's out?
愛は中性浮力を利用してるから、基本的には動力を必要としないの。
No, the EI elevator is a neutral buoyancy elevator, so it basically doesn't require outside power.
ただし、バラストタンクの注水時、排水時、その時にだけ電力を用いる。
It does need power for the intake and release of water for the ballast tank. This is the only time it needs power.
でも、今は停電してるから。
Blackout right now. So there's no way to control the ballast valve. Is that the problem?
そう。
Yes.
なんだ。 それじゃ結局のところ動かせないんじゃないか。
Oh, great. So that means we can't move this thing at all then.
バカね。そうじゃないでしょ。あんたそれでも大学生なの？
Stupid. That's wrong, and you're supposed to be a college student. Well, college doesn't really teach you anything practical, you.
悪かったな。じゃあ分かるように説明してくれよ。
Well, excuse me, so put it in terms I can understand.
はい、先生。
Teacher, I know.
はい、松永くん。
Alright, Miss Matsunaga.
浮力を利用して昇降するってことは、エレベーターの総重量が浮力を上回れば沈むと思います。
In order to use buoyancy to rise or sink, the weight of the elevator must exceed the buoyancy for the object to sink or vice versa.
その通り。
That's correct. Oh, the pressure is too high in there, too low in there.
もちろん少年も分かってるよね。
You figured it out too, kid, right? I got it. Yeah, the mean Archimedes principle, right? Oh, you mean. The buoyancy of the submerged object is equal to the weight of the liquid displaced by the object. Right now, the buoyancy of the elevator is exactly balanced with the elevator's weight. So if we make the elevator heavier, it will outweigh the buoyancy and the elevator will sink.
いやー、すっごい。二人とも頭いい。
Oh, good work, you two. What brains. You patted our heads as she praised us.
賢い賢い。
Smart, smart girl.
どっかの誰かさんと違ってね。
Not like some other people here. So the reason that EI won't sink yet is that it is not heavy enough, right?
うん。何か重しになるものを探してこないと。
Yes, we need to find something heavy. We split up and went in search of a thing we could use as weights. This is like a puzzle game, but without the actual puzzle, because it just doesn't have the mechanics for it. So you just kind of click through dialogue describing the puzzle.
どっこいしょっと。
Grpf. Takeshi was carrying a massive planting pot.
ちらほい。あ、ちらほい。
Heave ho, heave ho. You brought a plaster ornament. And I brought a magazine holder and a bundle of magazines from the security office. And Sarah...
うん、しょ。
Heave, heave. Pull, pull. Sarah, that's...
何持ってきてんだよ、お前。
What in the name of... Sarah was dragging a massive tuna.
それ、どうしたの？
What happened to that?
向こうの通路に落ちてたの。
It was in the corridor over there. Well, that might get a little stinky. I mean, it's been in there a day, right?
多分浸水の時、厨房の冷蔵庫から流れてきたんだと思う。
I guess it probably washed out from the kitchen fridge during the flood.
ちょっと冷たいけど我慢して。
It's a little cold, but it's okay, right? So the four of us packed ourselves into the EI, cradling a frozen tuna, headed down to eat stock. EI began to inch down ever so slowly. Peeking through the window and into the blue, we could see the outside of Lemieux. The blue gradually got darker, and the steel bulkhead appeared to move further away upward. We were silent during that time. What was there really to talk about? No, actually, you did say one
そ
thing.
ういえばさ、食用捕鯨って国際条約で禁止されてたよね。
Hey, wasn't catching dolphins for food banned under some international treaty? It seemed that she was having trouble with the difference between a dolphin and a tuna. No one tried to answer her. I decided not to think about anything. Dritistok Sector 7 was another area sealed off because of flooding. That is where we got off. Once the four of us holding the tuna got off, EI lost its baggage and floated up to Sweet Stock again. I'll admit it now, I actually was confused earlier. I don't think I shown any evidence of this, but I thought the floor that was split in half, was split into three disjoint areas, was the third floor, Dreet Stock, and the one that was one area was Wheat Stock. In other words, I thought they were on the third floor, the bottom floor. That's where the control room was. But they were on the second floor. Like that entire time I had the floor wrong. It doesn't matter too much, but it's kind of like, oops. Oh no, what do? We can't get back now.
大丈夫よ。愛はもう一機あるの。そっちがこのフロアに泊まってることは確認済みだから。
No problem, there's one more. EI, I checked in, it stopped on this floor. But how do you lighten it, though? Oh, that surprised the heck out of me.
当たり前だろ。じゃなきゃ4人で降りてきたりしないってばさ。
If there wasn't another one, there's no way the four of us would have ever come down here. Wait, did they leave the tuna in the elevator?
その割に顔引きつってるけど。
You sure? You seem pretty petrified with fear yourself.
やかましい。余計なツッコミ入れんな。
Zip it, I don't want any more lip from you.
はいはい。そんなことはどうでもいいから。さっさと行くよ。
Alright, enough of that, let's get going. We put the frozen tuna down and began walking towards the generator room. This side of the area was also inundated with water from the flood. It was still bathed in darkness. Blue light from the surface dimly pierced through the small round windows, making a wave-like shadow on the floor. The four of us relied on that and our flashlight as we proceeded deeper and deeper into the complex.
おいちょっと待ってくれよ
Hey, wait up. When we turned a corner, we heard Takeshi call out from behind us.
何やってんの？ちんたらしてると置いてくよ。
Hey, what are you doing? Hurry up, no daddling or we'll leave you behind.
ちんたらってお前だこの工具箱むちゃくちゃ重いんだぞ
I'll show you daddling, this toolbox weighs a ton. Looking back, there was Takeshi with the toolbox on the floor and breathing hard.
たく仕方ないな。少年、手伝ってあげてよ。
Geez, give me a break. Kid, give him a hand. Alright. I hurried to where Takeshi was. Takeshi, I'll help you.
お悪いなじゃあそっちから持ってくれ
Thanks, take it from that side. Okay. Two of us took the toolbox from both sides.
助かったよこのまま一人で持ってたら腕がもげるところだった
Real thanks. I thought my arms would fall off carrying it all alone. Actually, it's not really your arms. It tends to be your hips that give you issues, but okay. You must be carrying it in a very stupid way. Quite exaggerating. Oh, Takeshi, watch out. There's a bump sticking out there.
危ね
That was close. Takeshi was just able to right himself.
えびっくらこいた危うくすっ転ぶとこだったぜ
That reprised the bejeezers out of me. I just about fell down.
それにしてもよく気づいたな少年こんなに真っ暗だってのに
Glad you noticed that, kid. It being so dark and everything. Good job. Huh? You really think it's that dark? Takeshi, maybe you've got bad night vision.
そうかも
Could be.
確かビタミン A が不足してるんだっけかそういや俺レバーとか人参大嫌いだしな
What's the cause of that? Lack of vitamin A or something? I hate liver and carrots. You shouldn't be so picky. I'm gonna eat carrots after finishing this recording. Not because of that, it's because that was already the plan. Finally, as we caught up with you and Sarah, we reached our destination. Yellow and black stripes appeared dimly ahead.
ここか発電室ってのは
This the generator room? No, generator room is on Zweet stock and you're on Dietrich stock. I thought that to be the case though. There's a plate with information on the front of the door, but it was too dark to read.
とりあえず、覗いてみますか。
I'll take a look. We reached toward the door handle. Wait, it says craft work. Instinctively, I grabbed Yu's arm.
何？
What is it?
ん
Takeshi and Sarah stared at me questioningly.
どうしたの？
What's the matter? The thing is, I couldn't find the words to reply. Premonitions? I wondered why I had said what I had. I really didn't know. Yet somehow, if you don't know what's going on inside, don't you think it might be dangerous to just open the door? Just rattling off what popped into my mind. No, I hadn't even thought it. I just seemed to jump from my throat before anything else. Kind of like when you snap your hand back after touching a hot stove. I just reflexively blurted that out.
どういうこと？
What do you mean? Yu wasn't buying it. I took my hand from Yu's arm and searched for words. At that moment,
それもそうだよね。
it's kind of like this.
もしかしたら熱水を運んでるパイプかなんかが破裂してて、高温の蒸気が中に充満してるかもしれないし。
If a pipe carrying hot water burst, then the room could be full of hot steam, maybe. Sarah took up the slack in my explanation. Oh, I see. Well, I sensed danger I couldn't express in words what it might be. The three of us nodded satisfied.
どれ試してみるか。
Okay, let's give it a try. Takeshi touched his hand to the wet floor. He went to place his damp fingers on the door. The droplet sizzled, evaporating away.
本当だ。
It's true. It was like Sarah had said.
でも、そんなことよくわかったな、少年。
Oh, that was pretty sharp, kid. Yeah. I replied, but I hadn't really known it would be dangerous either. The one who had known was a separate someone inside me. That someone had simply borrowed my voice. What had happened was so strange that it made me feel out of place in my own skin.
とにかくこのままじゃ中に入れないってことだよね。
Anyway, with things as they stand, there's no going inside.
ああ、困ったな。
Shoot.
そうね。
I'll say.
ひとまず発電室に流れている熱水のバルブを閉めましょう。
First off, let's close off all valves for pipes sending hot water to the generator room.
熱水さえ止まれば、この中の蒸気の放出も停止するはずだから。
If we stop the flow of hot water, then steam should stop flowing to the room.
バルブ？それどこにあるんですか？
Valves, where are those?
この隣の部屋よ。もう一つ奥の通路を進んでいくの。
In the room next door, down one more corridor that way.
そんなに人数は必要ないから、私と、そうね。あともう一人手伝ってほしいんだけど。
It won't require that many people, just me and one more person to help.
よし来た、任せろ。
Right, leave it to me.
クラナリー？
Takeshi.
こら、俺のどこが不服なんじゃい。
Hey, what's wrong with me?
だって、クラナリなんかと二人っきりになったら変なことされそうじゃない。
It's just that if you were alone, I'm afraid you'll do something.
あのな。
私が手伝いましょうか？
Maybe I should help.
あ、いいのいいの。マヨはここで待ってて。
Oh no, that's okay. Mayo, you wait here.
なあ、おい少年、お前はどうするよ。
Kid, so what are you gonna do? Me? I'll help you.
そうかい。なら、俺とサラで留守番だな。
Okay, in that case, Sarah and I will hold down the fort here.
おい、それなら文句ねえだろ。
You can't complain about that, right?
オッケ
Okay.
ったく、俺が何したってんだよ。ほんとったく、何なんだ。
Geez, damned if I do, damned if I don't. It seemed like Takeshi was oblivious to his disturbing dream the night before. I figured that Yu was concerned about you in her own way. Like when she had you carry the heavy toolbox, it was her way of saying rest a bit or take it easy.
そういうもんかね。っていうか、すげえ好意的な解釈だけどな。
You think so? That's a pretty generous interpretation, I'd say.
まあいいや。だったらお言葉に甘えて、俺たちはまったりしとくことにするさ。な、サラ。
Okay, so I guess Sarah and I will just have to sit back and relax together. Takeshi tried to pat Sarah on the shoulder, but she dodged the advance.
おっと、拙者には手を触れない方が良いでござるよ。
You probably won't want to do that.
え
Huh?
何せ伊賀流忍術免許皆伝見込み保持者ゆえ。
Licensed Iga ninja.
なんだそりゃ。
What's that?
だから要するに命が惜しくば手を出すなってこと。
Means if you value your life, you'd better stay back.
ほら少年、行くよ。
Kid, should we get going? Yeah. You and I left the increasingly tense atmosphere behind. The room was covered in a massive web of pipes. The pipes continued into the adjacent generator room. It seemed that by opening and closing the valves, the water and oil pressure could be adjusted. Normally, Lemire is responsible for maintaining the generator room, but even Lemire can't do much when the generator itself goes out. Anyhow, this is all because the power supply is down. This room is designed so that maintenance can be performed manually at times like this or during blackouts. That was what you told me. You selected one pipe from the countless rows of them and instructed me to close its valve. As ordered, I turned the valve around and around. Hey, you. I said this as I was closing the valve. What? It's about the girl from yesterday.
昨日の少年が見たっていう7人目の生存者のこと？
Yesterday, you mean the seventh survivor you said you saw? Yeah.
見間違いなんじゃないの？
You're sure your eyes weren't playing tricks on you? I'm positive. These eyes saw her.
でなきゃ目の病気よ。
Maybe you got some kind of eye disease. Huh? Disease?
嘘冗談だって。どうしてすぐ本気にするかな。
I'm kidding, it's a joke. Why do you always take everything seriously? Enough already.
はい。その話は後でゆっくり聞いてあげるから。
Alright. I'll listen to your stories of unidentified survivors later.
今はお仕事。
Right now, we have to work. Finally, the valve was completely shut.
これで多分大丈夫だと思う。
That should do it. Can we talk now?
さてと、それじゃあ2人のところに戻りますか。
Let's go back to Takeshi and Sara. You took off from the room as if she were a fugitive on the run. I was left in the room alone. I felt an unclear mess of feelings stewed inside my mind. With this, we would be able to shut off the water flowing to the generator room. Even so, on the other side of the door, it was still hot enough to scald. The four of us waited outside the generator room until we could be sure that the temperature inside had cooled enough. When we thought the time had come, we timidly opened the door. It was like opening the door to a steam bath. A cloud of steam hissed out of the door. The heat inside was just about defied imagination. The air in the steam-filled room was heavy and stuck to the skin. Inhaling felt like swallowing globs of sticky hot steam. Takeshi was opening and closing his mouth like a fish out of water.
なんだか息苦しくないか？
Isn't it hard to breathe?
いちいち分かりきったこと聞かないの。口に出したら余計に暑苦しくなるじゃないの。
Stop pointing out the obvious. Talking about it just makes it worse. I guess Takeshi's shower water isn't really that hot, huh?
ナッキュ先輩、さっさと終わらせて出ましょうよ。
Naki, let's just do what we have to do and get out of here.
そうね。効率よく終わらせたいから手分けして作業することにしましょうか。
Alright, let's divide up what we have to do and be efficient about this.
じゃあ私はこっち。 倉成は向こうへ回ってもらえる？少年は
I'll be here, Takeshi. Can I get you to go over there, kid? I want you to. And we got to work fixing the generator. Takeshi and you did the bulk of the work. There wasn't much for Sar or me to do because we were helpless when it came to machines. Takeshi and Sar were working on the other side of the generator. You was doing battle with the machine and depending on my flashlight wielding skills. With nothing much to do, my mind started wandering. And of course, they led me right to the girl that had disappeared. I just couldn't believe that I had imagined the whole thing. Hey, you know, I've thought a lot about it.
何を？
What? About the girl.
またその話？
What, you're still stuck on that? Just listen. Maybe that girl. Maybe she is a ghost.
はあ？
Huh? You gave me a fed up look, shook her head, and went back to work. That's gotta be it. That would explain why the numbers changed so irregularly and why she vanished all of a sudden.
バカバカしい。
That's stupid. She'd have to be a negative person, though, because it went down to 5. Listen, I'm serious.
いや、
No.
真面目な話なら真面目に聞くけどね。
If you were talking about something serious, I would take you serious.
バカな話を真面目に聞くとバカがうつるから。
But I'm not listening seriously to something like this. Stupidity is contagious.
ちょうどプラスとマイナスの掛け算みたいなもんで、
It's like multiplication of positives and minuses.
プラスかけるプラスの解はプラスになるけど、
Positive times a positive is a positive.
マイナスかけるプラスの解はマイナスになっちゃうわけで、
But a minus times a plus is a negative.
マイナスドライバー取ってくれない？
So pass me that minus-like screwdriver, would you? I suppressed my anger and put the flathead screwdriver in Yu's hand. Okay, then you don't have to listen seriously. Just listen to me stupidly.
何をバカ的な感じって。
What do you mean, listen stupidly? It's multiplication, right? A minus times a minus is a plus, right?
なるほどね。
I see.
オーケー。じゃあここのネジを全部締め終わるまでの間だけ君のバカ話に付き合ってあげよう。
Alright then, I'll listen to the stupid stuff you got to say until I finish screwing in these screws.
何の話だったっけ？
So, what is it you're trying to say? Or you're dying to say? It's about the girl that disappeared. If she were a ghost...
ちょっと待って。君、本当に幽霊なんて信じてるの？
Hold on, now, do you really believe in ghosts? I wouldn't say believe, but believe in the possibility.
ないわね。可能性なんて 0.0000000000001% たりとも。
Zero. That is what the possibility there is. 0.0000000000000000001% maybe. Which is true because this genre, there tend to not be ghosts. How do you know? You sighed and started turning the next screw.
いい？古今東西の怪談話なんてものはほとんどが作り話なの。
Listen, ghost stories now and forever are almost all made up. Basically, she's saying there is no historical credibility to stories about ghosts. I'm trying to think of any ghosts. I think there's only one I know of where there might be credibility. Where people are going like, what? You mean the ghost of Samuel? Yes.
要するにエンターテインメントを目的としたフィクションってわけね。
They're just fiction with the goal of entertaining people. Kind of like my story. But haven't you ever felt somebody's eyes on you when you were in a room all alone?
視線？
Yeah, like someone was watching you from behind.
お母さんじゃない？
You mean your mom? I'm being serious. Oh, never mind.
そういうケースはね、間違いなく勘違いだったりするのよ。
Things like that are just your imagination.
妄想の産物。本人の興味や精神状態が生み出した幻想ってこと。
Product of an overzealous mind, an illusion spawned with the mental state of the person. You mean my mind is playing tricks on me?
平たく言えばそうね。
To be perfectly blunt, yes.
UFO とかカッパもそうだけど、 人間っていうのは想像することが好きなの。
UFOs and goblins are the same thing. People like to imagine stuff.
この想像力のおかげで人間はここまで進化してこれたわけだけど、ある意味においてはものすごく厄介な能力なのよね。
Thanks to the power of imagination, people were able to evolve to where we are, but it's kind of a curse too.
行き過ぎると妄想と現実とがごっちゃになっちゃう。
Taken to extremes, there is no distinguishing between reality and illusions.
幽霊の正体見たり枯れ尾花。
When you turn on the lights, the ghost is only a shirt on a chair.
怖がったり興味のある人には何にでも変化しちゃうの。
People who want to be scared see what they want. Why would the ghost be scary?
いるいると思い込んでいればありえないものだって存在するように感じてしまうわけだし、
If you really want to believe that something exists, even if it doesn't, then you still feel that it does.
怖い怖いと怖がっていれば何でもないものだってそれっぽく見えてしまうもんよ。
If you were scared of something, you'll scare yourself even if there is nothing there. I would do a give up on this one. So I wouldn't try to say the ghosts are real, because that's not what you're supposed to, you're not what you're going for. You're trying to go for, it's some integer multiplication. Well, actually, real number multiplication would work too. It's something to do with minus times plus is minus. That's the important takeaway. It didn't look like the kid was going to continue on that. It looked like he was just going to continue on, the ghosts are real. I wasn't satisfied, but I had learned something. I couldn't beat you in a debate.
その顔まだ納得できないって感じね。
So, it doesn't look like you're convinced. You can't convince me. I know. I saw her. At least I saw something.
まさか僕には霊感があるんだとか言い出さないよね。
You don't go telling me you have special powers to see spirits or anything either.
ちょっとマジ？言い出すつもり？
You're not gonna say it, right? He's gonna say, no, I have the power to see. He does. He can see ghosts. Why? Because Curie syndrome. I don't think. Why would we think Curie syndrome has a limit? If you earnestly believe that you can see ghosts, why can't Curie syndrome make the ghosts become real? Whatever, I'm just saying things here. You're not gonna say it, right?
わかったわかった。
Alright,
で
alright.
も突然薄桃色のエクトプラズムとか吐き出したりしないでね。
Spinning your head around 360 degrees or spewing out ectoplasmic goo, alright?
あとそれからここでは奨励行為も禁止。
Supernatural tricks or channeling spirits either.
ポルターガイストとか起こったらせっかく止めたネジが外れちゃうかもしれないから。
Because if a poltergeist gets loose around here, the screws I just put in could fall out. For not believing this stuff, you sure know a lot about it.
信じてないから詳しいの。
It is because I don't believe in it that I know a lot.
私の知識は防御のためにあるんじゃない。
My knowledge is not for defensive purposes,
攻撃のためにあるのよ。
it's for offensive ones. Huh?
つまり幽霊とか超能力とか UFO とかそういうオカルトを信じきっちゃってあっちの世界に行っちゃってる人いるでしょ。
Why would you bother, though? And that's what they all say. I mean, there are those people that swear by ghosts, the supernatural, UFOs, and that occult stuff. They're completely loony.
私の知識は彼らをギャフンと言わせるためにあるの。
My knowledge is so I can take them down when I meet them.
論破するために敵の情報を仕入れてるってわけ。
I've stocked up on enemy information for my verbal assaults.
大学で考古学を専攻したのもそのためなんだから。
That's why the reason I majored in archaeology. 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 I thought that was about digging, looking for artifacts, ruins, and deciphering ancient letters. That kind of stuff, right?
まあね。
Well, maybe. You studying archaeology, it just didn't click. So what are you studying?
研究なんてそんな大層なものはしてないよ。私はまだ1年生だから基礎授業がほとんどなの。
I'm not doing anything that big. I'm still a freshman, so I'm only taking basic stuff.
教授の講義を聞いたり実習で発掘調査に参加したりしながら考古学とは何なのかってやつをみっちり叩き込まれてる最中なわけ。
I just listen to professors lecture and go on excavation surveys. I'm still getting the fundamentals of what is archaeology pounded into my head. Oh, that reminds me, speaking of archaeology, have you ever heard of the continent Lemuria? It seems like it is the origin of Lemu's name.
聞いたことあるも何も嫌っていうほど知ってるよ。
Have I heard of it? I know so much about it that it makes me nuts.
レムリアっていうのは紀元前2億年から5000万年に存在したと言われる幻の大陸のこと。
Lemuria is the phantom continent that is said to exist between 200 million and 500 million years BC. And yes, I'm very relieved to see BC.
その大陸では現代よりもはるかに高度な文明が栄えていたが、何らかの原因により一夜にして海の底へと没したとされている。
On it thrived an advanced civilization that was more advanced than what we have today, but overnight just slipped down to the bottom of the ocean. You recited it off so fluently that it sounded like she was reading from a textbook. Advanced civilization? Overnight? Huh? I have to look this up now after I'm done with this segment. Because with Achikoshi games, there tends to be like a little bit of truth to it. Or there's like a reference to something. I'm pretty sure that this is something like not actually, like they didn't actually find artifacts for this, but there's some sort of like piece of popular culture or something that he's referencing here. That sounds just like...
学者の中にはこの大陸こそ人類発祥の地だとか主張してる人もいるらしいけど、
I mean, that seems no worse than ghosts and UFOs, right? The whole, there is some ancient civilization more advanced than ours thing. What's the difference? Yeah, I mean, I get the point. There are some scholars that contend that this continent was the origin of mankind. Yes. The Western Road says man originated from Africa. The Chinese use the Peking man bones to say that man, that is Homo sapiens, originated out of China. Which is kind of... oh goodness.
まったく何言っちゃってるんだか。そんなことありえるわけないのにね。
But what could they be talking about? That could never happen. But you're studying it though. I guess you're gonna reform archaeology from the inside in this universe? You don't believe it?
当たり前でしょ。考古学的にも地質学的にもほとんど根拠がないんだから。
Oh, here we go. Okay, of course not. Archaeologically and geologically, the idea has no basis. Okay.
ちゃんとした研究が進むにつれて説得力はどんどん失われていって、もうまともな学問の分野では廃れきってる説なのよ。
The more real research is conducted, the more the theory is shot full of holes. It's no longer a legitimate field of study. Is that right?
現実ってのはね、おとぎ話とは違うの。
Reality is different from a fairy tale. Oh, if you ask me where man originated, I would say Turkey. If you get what I mean. Mountains of Ararat! Anyway.
宗教なんかもそうだけど、神秘主義者たちが熱っぽく語る話ってのは往々にして夢物語なのよ。
Religion is like that too. Any and all those mysterious things that people get all worked up about, they're mostly all make-believe. But Curie syndrome makes them happen.
そもそも根拠がないんだから何を言っても構わないって発想なんだろうけどさ。
They're all impossible to prove, so who cares what they say? That's the philosophy behind it. Oh. Oh, good. I thought that maybe precisely because there was no evidence for or against that, what people said was actually packed with meaning. I felt like because those words were the only footholds, the only way to really nail down reality. I absently thought about this for a minute.
しょっと、このネジ硬い。
This screw is really tight. I thought you were trying to put the screws in, not to take them out. So, did you cross-thread it by accident? Let me try. I switched places and tried twisting the screw into place.
疲れた。肩が凝ったぞなもし。
Her artwork and her sprite look a lot different, honestly. Oh, I'm beat. My shoulders are stiff and everything. She looks a lot cuter in the artwork. You twisted and stretched, her back popped loudly. Hey, you know what we were just talking about?
さっきの話？レムリアのこと？
Takeshi and Sara happened to be in the room listening to all this. What was that? Oh, Lemuria? Yeah.
ひょっとしたら少年ってこの手の話がものすごく好きだったりする人？
Kid, you're not one of those people that get all into these stories, are you? I don't know about that, but since we've got time to kill, just humor me.
はいはい。で、何でしたっけ？
Alright, what is it? I'm not sure if this is an all legends are true plot. Cause like, I don't want to spoil any other games by Uchikoshi, because it's not exactly, he doesn't always do that, right? He doesn't always make all the legends true. Okay, I wonder if Lemuria angered God and he sent it to the bottom of the ocean. I mean, if the people of Lemuria had such an advanced civilization, maybe God struck them down for their pride or something. Huh? You? Hello?
あ、いけない。危うく私まであっちの世界に行っちゃうとこだったわ。
This is bad. Danger, I'm putting myself in danger of being dragged into lunacy with you.
もっとバカ的に。
Stupid. Words. He's saying words.
よし。これでもう大丈夫。
Should be fine now.
オッケー。要するに君はバベルの塔と同じだって言いたいわけね。
Okay, I see what you're saying. You're saying that it was like the Tower of Babel, right? Tower of Babel? I have no education whatsoever. I don't know what the Tower of Babel was.
旧約聖書の創世記ってお話に出てくる塔のことよ。
In the Old Testament, in Genesis, there was this story about this tower.
そのお話の中で人間は自分たちの栄華を誇示するために高い塔を作ろうとするの。天にも届かんばかりの巨大な建造物。
In it, people were so proud of their achievements that they built this super high tower, this massive structure that almost reached to heaven.
でもそんな人間の行為に神様が腹を立ててしまった。
God was angered by their behavior.
人間の分際で生意気だってね。
God said, I will bring down their pride together with the trickery of their hands. They are impudent. Okay, I have to... Excuse me a little bit here. I'm actually gonna read it. This is... Stop. Okay. Let's see. Tower of Babel is Genesis 8 about. Embarrassing, that was way off. Okay. I have to go all the way to 11. Here we go. Okay. Now, all the Earth used the same language and the same words. And it came about as they journeyed east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar and settled there. Then they said to one another, Come, let's make bricks and fire them thoroughly. And they used bricks for stone and they used tar for mortar. So, the Tower of Babel would have been made with mud bricks fired bricks and tar. So, like the stone towers, like the tower in Jericho, that's not exactly the same building style because that was made with real stones. Okay, just a little detail. But anyway, it also makes it less likely that the ruins of the Tower of Babel would be preserved till this day. Although, so there's like some tradition that Babylon was built on top of it, but we don't actually know where Babel was. We just know it was the land of Shinar. We don't know where this land of Shinar was, whatever. Okay, enough talking, keep reading this. And they said, "Come, let's build ourselves a city, and a tower whose top will reach into heaven. And let's make a name for ourselves, otherwise we will be scattered abroad over the face of all the earth." And why that is relevant is because let's try to go back to Genesis 9 here. I have to find this. First, be fruitful and multiply and spread throughout the whole earth. Oh, here we go. Whoever sheds human blood, by man his blood shall be shed, for in the image of God he made mankind. As for you, be fruitful and multiply, populate the earth abundantly and multiply in it. Right, so if they did not spread throughout the earth, then they would have disobeyed God. Okay. Now the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the men had built, and the Lord said, "Behold, they are one people, and they all have the same language. And this is what they have started to do, and now nothing which they plan to do will be impossible for them. Come, let us go down, and there confuse their language, so that they will not understand one another's speech." So the Lord scattered them abroad from there over the face of all the earth, and they stopped building the city. Therefore it was named Babel, because the Lord confused the language of all the earth, and from there the Lord scattered them abroad over the face of all the earth. So, this quote here, God said, "I will bring down their pride together with the trickery of their hands. They are impudent," is either bad Google Translate situation where they went from Hebrew to Japanese and then that back to English in the localization, or it's just completely made up because I don't see anything that could really even do that even in 2 layers of Google Translate.
かくしてその塔は神の力で破壊され、工事は中止させられちゃいましたと。
So God took it upon himself to destroy the tower, and the building stopped, and people spread to all corners of the earth. Nowhere in there did it say anything about destroying the tower, you. Tower, you.
これがバベルの塔の神話。
That's the story of the Tower of Babel. Well, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I nodded without stopping my work.
だとしたらそれはきっとシバ神みたいな神様の仕業ね。
That would have to be the work of a god like Shiva. Actually, that's Hindu, which is no. You think you know so much about this, you. They're mixing religions up. You're mixing Abrahamic religions, as they call them, with Hinduism. Shiva,
破壊神にして再建の神シバ。
the god of destruction and creation.
1000を超える無数の異名と4本の腕、4つの顔、3つの目を持つヒンズー教の三大主神の一人なの。
One of the main 3 Hindu gods, he has more than 1,000 names, 4 arms, 4 faces, and 3 eyes.
再生のために自ら世界を破壊してしまう神様なんだけど、
He destroyed the world for purposes of creation.
その破壊が徹底されたものであるほど、次に大きな可能性を秘めた存在が生み出されるらしいの。
The destruction is so thorough that in it is contained the seeds of possibility of the next generation. Kind of like starting from square one is better than fixing something halfway.
多分ね。
Probably something like that. That's sometimes true, especially in programming, where everything's just like, it's better to just start with a virgin text file.
だから もしレムリアが神様の怒りで海に沈んだとしたら、そんな神様が滅ぼしたんだと思うのよ。
So if Lemuria had pissed off a god enough to sink it into the ocean, then that god would probably have demolished it. Oh, I see. A god that would purge the world of filth by destroying it, but then it would leave no evidence of its existence behind, and no matter where this god would have done it, there would have been no evidence, so there is no reason to conclude that that civilization was anywhere in particular. A god that damned people drunk with pride and forced rebirth.
ほらほら、手が止まってるぞ。とっとと手を動かす。
Look, you're slowing down. Hurry up and finish up. I'm already done. I finished putting in all of the screws.
じゃあ今度はこのボルトを閉めて。
Next, tighten those bolts. I handed the screwdriver to her and took the wrench. Somewhere along the line, I had been put in charge of the work. When you pointed the flashlight near me, I saw 3 bolts in the shape of a triangle. Did you say that Shiva has 3 eyes?
うん。
Yep. That means I put the wrench between my eyebrows. He'd have another eye right here then. So this is where third eye, this is how we get third eye from the opening cutscene.
そういうこと。
That's
な
right.
んでも、その第三の目からは、この世のすべてを焼き尽くす浄化の光を放つんだって。
The light from that third eye burns all in the world, purifying it. Wow, that sounds pretty cool. I said that as I tightened the top bolt. But I bet a visit to the optometrist would be a pain.
レンズがもう一つ余計に売れるんだから好都合だと思うけど。
You would have to buy another lens so the optometrist would love it. I thought to myself that making the custom frame in what would cost a fortune, but I didn't dare say it. Frame is what?
まあ、それはそれとして、
That's enough of that.
世界中の文献を紐解いてみると、第三の目っていう概念はシバ神だけに限らず、仏教やヨガの世界にも存在してるらしいの。
But the idea of a third eye is not limited to Shiva. It also exists in the world of Buddhism and yoga.
透視能力、遠隔視、スーパービジョン、霊の知覚、未来視、過去視。
Clairvoyance, telescopic vision, ghost sense, the gift of the prophet, the power of seeing the past or future. So some of like my what will be old videos by the time this is posted. When I played Never 7 and Doki Doki Literature Club, I made some comments about how Doki Doki Literature Club and Never 7 had these similarities between each other. Like the list of similarities was faceless protagonist, harem game structure, different characters had different routes. One character doesn't seem to have a route, at least at first. You had the whole, the characters' roles and personalities had a kind of this correspondence with each other. Of course, Sayori covers both Saki and Kurumi, so there's like a bottleneck, but anyway, they go through the game twice. Suicide, there's all kinds of things that are similar between the two. It act like Never 7 was one of the games that Doki Doki was trying to parody, and it might be possible that Don Silvano Iceling knew about Never 7. One other thing that shows up in Doki Doki is the third eye. A lot of shared things here.
神がかり的な力の源であったり、あるいは厳しい修行の末に習得できる超能力だったり、諸説いろいろあるんだけど、それらに共通して言えることは、
There is a lot of explanations behind it. Some say it is a gift from the gods, others that you can acquire it from intensive training. But what they all have in common is, when the third eye opens, a true wisdom is apparent and all becomes visible.
言うなれば人知を超えた存在、超人の象徴ってわけ。
They all have something to do with transcending the realm of the human, becoming superhuman somehow. This is very Doki Doki-ish right now. Real wisdom. Muttering that, I turned to face the bolt again. If I had that, I'd be able to get back my memory. Yeah, right. If there really is such a thing, I want one.
欲しいって第三の目を？
You want what? A third eye? Yeah, if I had one, maybe I could see my past. And maybe I know who that girl is. Anyway, I'd like to see what it is like.
見たいの？
You want to see? Yeah, maybe I could see something.
じゃあ見せてあげようか。
Shall I give you a look then? What? I'm gonna get pranked, am I? Ready for the prank? I looked up, and there was Yu's face. Why did she get so close? We were at a distance where could just about feel each other's breath. The tips of our noses just about touched. That's how close her face was. You?
見たいんでしょ？
You want to see, right? You stared at me in the eye as she said this. I couldn't speak, my legs shook. My heart was beating as fast as it would go. I felt like it would jump right out of my chest.
ほら、よーく見て。
Now take a good look. You lifted up her bangs and placed her finger on her forehead.
ここにあるでしょ？
Right here, isn't it?
第三の目が。
The third eye. Yu's face. There was nothing. All I could think about was her nice skin and sweet smell. You grabbed her stomach, laughing. Huh? What?
冗談冗談だっぴゃー。
Well, it's a joke, but not really particularly good one. What?
おかしすぎるよ。
That was too funny.
ここまでもろに引っかかってくれるなんて君最高だよ。
Who else would take that completely seriously? You're the best. You're so mean, you. You tease me even though you know how serious I am.
ごめんごめん。少年がまたしても変なこと言い出すからちょっぴりいたずら心が芽生えちゃって。
Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, but you keep saying one bizarre thing after another, so I just couldn't help playing a joke on you.
それにね、あながち嘘でもなかったりするんだよね。
Besides, what I said wasn't really a lie anyway. Saying that, you pointed at her forehead again. What do you mean? Wondered why we had two eyes. Well, one, it's so that if one goes out, you still have the other. It's redundancy. Two, it helps with perceiving depth, because the distance between you and what you're focusing on is related to the angle at which your eyes converge. Common knowledge had it that physically two eyes were enough for gauging the distance to a point or focusing on something. But what would it be like if we really used to have three eyes? There's more redundancy. Actually, the animal ancestors of vertebrates had three eyes. Early species of primitive reptiles, like the tuatara lizard that still has a third eye on the top of its head. The third eye. The organ that has a similar function to the eyeball and lies on the top of the head. This organ would be sensitive to the light of the outside world and control internal hormone secretion in a balance based on light. An eye on the crest of one's head would stare straight up. It seems safe to say that it would sense the difference in light between day and night. A right eye, a left eye, and one above. An eye at the top of the head would stare at the sky. Only we people and higher vertebrates had lost the third eye over a long process of evolution. It had been covered over by the cerebrum, and we lost our ability to sense light directly. Therefore, we had two light-sensitive eyeballs, one on each side instead. This lost third eye was called a pineal body. This had functioned in the brain for eons and was responsible for secreting hormones that helped carve out our 24-hour rhythm. What we called our internal clocks existed because of this pineal body. That was essentially the rundown that you gave me as I was tightening the bolts. I mean, yeah, that's kind of the narrative around that.
つまり第三の目って言っても人体科学的な意味で考えると何のことはないの。
The third eye in terms of human anatomical science is really no big deal. And the Institute of Human Anatomy made a YouTube video about the pineal gland, if you want to watch that.
退化した器官の一つに過ぎないわけで、
It's just an organ we lost to evolution. You mean like an appendix or the webbing between fingers? Well, circadian rhythms are important, kid.
そういうこと。
That's exactly what I mean. I finished with the bolt.
オッケー。それでこっちの作業は完了だよ。
Okay, well then, our work here is done.
疲れたー。
Oh, I'm tired. You stretched as she said this. I put both hands on my waist and stretched. We were both drenched in sweat. Hey, I was wondering. What? So that occult stuff that you were just telling me about is for offensive purposes too?
そうね。あれは攻撃のためでも防御のためでもなく、
Well, it's not really for offensive or defensive use.
何の役にも立たない無駄な知識ね。
It's just a load of useless knowledge.
なのに捨てようと思っても捨てられない。
Still, I can't very well just throw it away.
多分頭の根っこのとこにしっかりと溶接されちゃってるんだと思う。
Maybe it has completely rooted itself into my brain. But you planted it there yourself, right?
とんでもない。
No way!
犯人は母親よ。
My mom's the guilty one. Your mom?
そう。私のお母さん、考古学の研究者なの。
Yes, my mom's an archaeology researcher.
主に第三視点とかいう古い概念のことを専門にしてるらしいんだけど、
Apparently, she's an expert in the ancient concept of the third eye.
とにかくちっちゃな頃からそれ関連の話を子守歌代わりに聞かされ続けてきたのよ。
Anyway, when I was little, instead of lullaby, she told me all these third eye stories. Wow. The third eye. How about that? I wondered if the third eye could be related to something. I thought I would ask about possible connections, but my mind and body were completely drained. Oh well, I'll save it for next time.
考古学なんて大嫌いだったのに。
I used to hate archaeology. You sighed as she said this.
気がついたらいつの間にか考古学のある学部に進学してた。
One day, I just woke up and found myself in the archaeology department. Like mother, like daughter?
そんな生優しいもんじゃないと思う。
It's not that simple. Yu's shoulders slumped and she let go a deep sigh again.
これはある種の呪いよ。
It's like some kind of curse. Soon after that, it looked like Takeshi and Sara had finished their work as well. Well, it had turned into an adventure, but at least we had finished the repairs. It was just like Sara said, the cause of the blackout was the opening of the safety valve due to the drop in air pressure. When pressure from the steam becomes excessive, the valve automatically opens to release the gas and prevent damage. Normally, after a release of surplus gas, the valve is designed to shut naturally, but we're only at 1 atmosphere. Because the safety valve never closed, the steam continued leaking. Anyway, that was just the explanation. We left the generator room and went to the pipe room. There we opened the valve we had closed before the repairs. And returned to the generator room.
さて、それじゃあ行ってみますか。
So, should we try to fire it up? Takeshi whispered the question as we stood in front of the generator switch.
スイッチ入れるぞ。
I'm turning it on. Sara, you and I nodded silently.
心の準備はできたかな？
You ready? Just do it.
そこ、うるさいよ。
Pipe down, kid.
では、カウントダウンを始めよ
How about a
う。
countdown?
50秒前。
50 seconds to...
50も数えるの？
Huh? From 50?
45秒前。
45 seconds to... Takeshi continued ignoring her.
くらなり、いくらなんでも長すぎるってば。
Takeshi, that's too long.
40、39、38。
Oh dear. It was irritating.
37、36、35。
So 30 is Sonju. I used to pick up on that. Well, Son is 3. So irritating.
34。
All three of us, except Takeshi, pushed the button.
こら勝手にスイッチ入れんなよ まだ34秒前じゃねえか。
Hey, what are you doing? We still have 34 seconds to go. Nobody wants to wait 34 seconds. Somebody had to push it.
たかだか30秒ちょっとも待てないのかお前らは。
You guys can't even wait a little more than a simple 30 seconds?
待てるか。
Why wait?
こういうのはだな、ある種の儀式というか形式というか、とにかく非常に大切なことであって。
This is like a ritual. Anyway, it's very important. 34 is 2 times 17. Does that mean something? The lights lit up all at once. The light poured down, illuminating even the corners of the room. It was like our field of vision had expanded in an instant.
17。
17.
あ、
ちょうどさっきのカウントが17秒前の時電気がついたの。
The lights came on, with 17 seconds left in the countdown.
それがどうかしたの？
What are you talking about?
わかりません。電気がつくまでちょうど17秒だったんですよ。
You don't understand. The power came back on with 17 seconds left to count. Oh, I see. I understood what she was saying. You mean if we would have pushed it at 17 seconds, it would have been just right.
うん。
Yeah.
それは傑作ね。
Haha, that would have been something.
ち。
So it kind of, okay, they are making something of how 34 was 2 times 17. I wasn't sure if Takeshi was over his anger, but he shouldered the heavy toolbox and left the room. We retraced our path until we were in front of the neutral buoyancy elevator. The frozen tuna's empty eyes are waiting for us. The elevator we had used coming down had already floated up to Zweetstock. But to the left, the floor display was lit up with the number 3.
ああ、よっこらどっこいしょっと。
Oops, that's heavy. Takeshi groaned as he put the toolbox on the floor of the elevator.
おっさんみたい。
You sound like an old man.
うるせえ。どうせお前に比べりゃおっさんだよ、俺は。
Shut up, I am an old man compared to you. While they needled each other, I pushed the up button next to the door. The internal and external watertight doors had already sealed automatically. We could hear air being sent into the ballast tank under the floor. Finally, the egg-shaped elevator didn't start to float up.
え、マジ？
Huh? Are you serious? The sound beneath the floor had stopped, and silence had returned.
またなの？
Not again.
どうしてこうも次から次へと厄介な事態が発生するのかしらね。
Why do we keep running into problem after problem? Knowing it was useless, I pushed the up button repeatedly. Of course, EI didn't move an inch. Alright, so what do we do? Just as I said that, a monitor just to the right of the round window flickered to
倉
life.
成さん、田中さん、松永さん、少年さん。
Takeshi, you, Sara, kid.
そら、お前どこ行ってたんだよ。探したんだぞ。
Sora, where have you been? We looked everywhere for you. But you didn't look anywhere for her. What do you mean?
大変ご迷惑をおかけしました。申し訳ありません。
I am terribly sorry. Please accept my apologies. So she did come back. The image of Sora in the monitor bowed deeply. I guess she had to, because I was spoiled that she has a route in that patch notes, didn't I? The image of Sora in the monitor bowed deeply.
まあ、そんなことはどうでもいいじゃない。
That's not important right now.
そら、発電機の方は私たちで直しといたから。
Sora, so we fixed the generator?
そのようですね。
It would appear so.
ありがとうございました。本当に。
Thank you so much, thank you.
でだ、分かってると思うけど、今俺たちは卵、愛の中にいて。
I think you know this, but we are in this egg, this EI.
ええ、分かっています。
Yes, I know.
愛が動かないのですね。
The EI is not moving, correct?
どうすればいいのかな？
What should we do?
まず、その原因についてなのですが、
First, in regard to the cause,
おそらく内部気圧が減少した関係で、バラストタンク内の海水を十分に排出することができないからだと思われます。
It is likely that the result of a decrease in internal air pressure that has made the device incapable of sufficiently expelling the seawater in the ballast tank.
つまり、
In other words, you mean it isn't buoyant enough.
はい。
Correct.
浮上させる方法はいくつか考えられますが、
There are a number of feasible methods for making it rise, but in the end we decided to split into pairs to ride the elevator. In line with the principle of Archimedes, if the buoyancy was insufficient, we had to lighten the load. First, Sara and I got in EI. Sora and Tsumugi were waiting at Sweetstock.
お二人とも本当にご苦労様でした。
Good work, you two. Sora beamed a welcoming smile at us. Tsumugi just stood there staring at Sara and me. Next came you. And then the tuna took the elevator to return to our floor. What about Takeshi?
冷たい。
This is cold. I noticed that when Tsumugi saw Yu cradling the frozen fish, she grinned for the first time. Sora, on the other hand,
大丈夫ですか倉成さん。
Takeshi, are you alright? Sora ran up next to the fish in a panic.
先輩、そのマグロ持ってきたんですか？
Nakyu senpai? You brought along the fish?
大切な食料なんだから当然でしょ。食べ物を粗末にすると罰が当たるよ。
Of course, it's food after all. Waste not, waste want not, right? Yeah, but you have to clean it though. Are you up for that?
そんなことよりも倉成さんが
Forget that for now. More importantly, Takeshi? Sora was still flustered and babbling next to the fish. I wondered if she really thought that Takeshi had turned into a tuna.
私のせいで倉成さんが一体どうしたらいいのでしょう。
This is all my fault. Oh my gosh, what can I do?
お取り込み中申し訳ないんだが、
I know you're occupied, but... Huh?
俺の方こそどうしたらいいのでしょうって感じなんですがね。
I think the question is more, what should I do? Nearly an hour had passed since the power had gone back online. We gathered in the third floor conference room. I wonder if that means something, that she mistook the fish for... She thought Takeshi turned into a fish. Takeshi, Tsumugi, Sora, Yu, Sara, and I, all 6 of us, were sitting in chairs, just letting time pass. The rescue team still hadn't come. Our situation didn't show any sign of changing. Takeshi's yawn spread from person to person. I desperately tried to keep from yawning. Only Sora had her head down and looked as if she were thinking about something. We were bored silly. I hadn't realized that doing nothing could be so hard. Well, I might as well get some exercise. Thinking that, I stood from the chair.
あれ？どうしたの？
What's up? Sara shot me the question slumped in the chair next to mine. We've got all this time, so I thought I'd go for a little walk.
だったらさ、何か飲み物持ってきてよ。
Oh, in that case, can you bring me back something to drink? Huh? Why was this an in that case thing?
私喉乾いちゃってさ、売店にジュースとか置いてあったよね。
I'm thirsty. I think there was juice in the kiosk, right? Yeah, but don't you have to put coins in? I think so.
じゃあ、よろしくね。
Okay, thanks. Oh well. So, any kind of juice is okay?
うん、いいよ。
Sure, anything is fine. Great. I felt like the group hierarchy had sorted itself out. I left the conference room and headed for the kiosk. I had a good idea of where it was from my wanderings around the complex the day before. I went through the rest area on the way. Huh? Something had been left on the bench. It was wrapped chicken sandwiches. I figured these were probably sandwiches that Takeshi had made and taken to Tsumugi and Sora. I bet that during the blackout they had been forgotten. Alright, I might as well take these along. I took the sandwiches and put them into my pockets. At the kiosk, I started looking for drinks. There was enough food and drinks for us to survive for days. The only food there was chicken sandwiches and the ingredients to make them, but at least we didn't have to worry about food, meaning we were unfortunately fortunate. I took 6 cans of cola from the kiosk's freezer. Only Sara had asked, but I thought I'd take back enough for everyone. Here we go. Cradling cola in both arms, I started back. Here you go. When I came back, everyone was chatting loudly. Cards were randomly placed on the table facing down. They might have been playing a game.
おかえり。
Welcome back. I figured since I was there that I'd bring back enough for everyone.
大義でござった。
Thank you, sir. Sara took 2 of the 2 cans and handed one to you.
はい、先輩にもどうぞ。
Here you go, Nakyu.
お、気が利くじゃん、少年。
Hey kid, that was sure thoughtful of you. You took the cola from Sara and popped open the tab. Like a pro, she held the fizz down so it wouldn't explode. She didn't go getting herself all drenched in soda. So what were you all up to with the cards? I put the remaining 4 cans on the table.
ピロピロピンポンドーンだよ。
Yep. Same universe. Mental guts. What's that?
あれ知らないの
You don't
ピ
know
ロピロピ
mental
ンポン
guts?
ドーン。
Oh, you don't know mental guts? This exact same scene is gonna happen again. Never heard of it.
そっか。少年は記憶喪失だから忘れちゃったんだね。超有名なゲームなんだよ。
Isn't that what, which character called it mental guts in Never 7? Was it Kurumi? I know that Kurumi, what's her name? Izumi and Makoto all had different names for it. Humph. I realized that I couldn't remember even these kinds of things. I wondered if I should have been more uneasy about my lost memory than I was. First, I thought I'd have a cola. Oh, by the way, I also brought these. I remember the sandwiches, and holding the can in my right hand, plunged my hand into my left
え
pocket.
何
What? This here. I removed a wrapped sandwich.
お、どうしたんだこれ。お前が作ったのか？
Oh, where'd you get that? Did you make it? It was on the bench in the rest area. Didn't you leave it there, Takeshi?
ああ、そっか。空に渡し損ねたやつか。停電の騒ぎの時置いてきたんだった。
Yeah, it was the one that I forgot to give to Sora. I left it there during the blackout hubbub. I thought that somebody might be hungry.
おー、素晴らしい。
Oh, great.
君って本当に気が利くな。
You are so thoughtful. You rushed over and violently mussed up my hair. Oh, that's right. I have another one. Feeling good about myself, I put the can in the other hand and went to get the sandwich from my right pocket. What in?
どうしたの
What's the matter? It's gone. There's nothing in my right pocket.
落としたんじゃないの
Did you drop it? No, no way. I didn't think that I could have dropped it. Somehow I felt there was something odd going on.
よし、じゃあこれは空の分だ。
Alright then, this is Sora's. Looking, I saw Takeshi holding the sandwich out towards Sora.
朝食べてないだろ？
You didn't eat breakfast, right?
いえ、私はいいんです。
Oh no, I'm fine.
遠慮するなよ。これ俺が作ったんだけど、味には自信があるんだ。
Don't be polite, I made this. I'm sure it tastes good.
ええ、でも。
Still.
おいおい、嘘じゃないぞ。
Hey, I'm not kidding.
そうそう。美味しいのは拙者も保証するでござるよ。
I'll vouch for him, they're pretty good. Me too. Sara and I both raised our hands in a show of agreement.
そら、俺の飯が食えないのか？
Sora, what? You can't eat my food? She went somewhere at 8?
そんなことおっしゃられても。
That's not it.
じゃあなんだ？昨日食いすぎたか？それともダイエットか？
Then what is it? Eat too much yesterday or are you on a diet?
いいえ、でも。
No, but I...
ダメダメ。きちんと食わなきゃ体に毒なんだ。ほら、受け取れ。
No, you'll have to eat or you'll get weak. Here, take it. He tossed the cola and chicken sandwich towards Sora. They traced a gentle arc through the air. Sora suddenly reached out her hands. She reached them out, but... But Sora didn't catch them. No, she couldn't catch them. She didn't avoid them. It wasn't that she was slow. Sora was there with her hands extended into space. The sandwich had fallen at her feet. The cola had violently slammed into the wall behind her and exploded. The spewing cola didn't get Sora wet. The droplets soaked like they flew through Sora's body. The sandwich wrapper covered the silhouette of Sora's sandal. It was as if the two had melded together. Huh? Takeshi wasn't the only one surprised. I was confused and without a clue. It couldn't have been that it seemed odd because I didn't know from the start. Or maybe it seemed strange because I'd forgotten it. So all I could do was sit there with my mouth agape and my eyes staring at the spectacle.
ですから私はいらないと申し上げたのですが。
That's why I said I didn't need it. So I made an embarrassed looking expression.
What? いや、あれだ、俺は
No, that's what I... Takeshi looked completely puzzled.
ちゃんと渡すつもりで投げたんだけど、おかしいな。手が滑っちゃったのかな。
I meant to toss them as if I were handing them over. That's weird. Your hand must have slipped.
すいません。でもちっともおかしくはないんですよ、倉成さん。
Excuse me, Takeshi, there's nothing strange about it.
でも、コーラ吹いてる、かかってる。服は大丈夫か？
The cola blew up and is your clothes alright?
はい。
Yes.
っていうか、サンド踏んでる足の先がないですよ、ソラさん。
But you're stepping on the sandwich. Your foot, you've got no toes, Sora.
え？
Uh,
ごめんなさい。
oh my gosh, sorry about that. And just like that, Sora's vanishing toes reappeared. But the place where the sandwich is supposed to be wavered unsteadily. I didn't have any idea what it all meant.
もしかして倉成さんご存知なかったんですか？
I guess, Takeshi, that you didn't know. Sora was shuffling embarrassedly.
ソラ、お前は一体。
Sora, what in the world are you?
は
For some reason, you gave a huge sigh right next to Takeshi. And then... you burst out laughing. Yu's gonna claim that she's a holograph, right?
倉成面白いから黙って見てたけど
Yu's gonna say that she's a holograph for projection, and when the power went out, Sora disappeared because there wasn't anything to power her projection.
あんた本当に何も聞いてなかったのね
You really don't listen to anything?
何をだよ。
What are you talking about? Takeshi was still confused.
ゲートに入場する時の説明
The explanation at the park entrance.
だから、それはなんだよ。
So what about it? Looking around, only Takeshi and I were surprised. A strange expression floated onto Sara's face, but it seemed like she knew what was going on. Tsurugi's face was blank. Apart from Takeshi, it seemed like nobody felt this was anything to be that surprised about.
まったく
Jeez. Tsurugi stood up as if irritated.
もう見ていられないわねくだらない
I can't watch any more of this. It's ridiculous. After spitting out those words, she left the conference room. Used to it, but we just watched her go, and no one tried to stop her.
まあつぐみのことは放っておくとして
We'll just leave Tsurugi be.
そら悪いんだけどもう一回自己紹介してあげて
Sora, sorry to bother you, but could you introduce yourself again?
はい、わかりました。
Yes, of course. The punctuated can had stopped fizzing. Sora took a step forward toward us carefully as if avoiding the sandwich and straightened up. After a slight bow, she spoke.
私は茜ヶ崎空。
I am Sora Akane Sagasaka.
正式名称は LM RSDS4913A と申します。
Yonkyu Isan A. So 9 really is. Oh, okay. My official name is LMRSDS4913A.
このレミューの案内係を仰せつかっている人工知能、いわゆる AI プログラムです。
I am an artificial intelligence or AI program in charge of guiding visitors around Lemieux.
私はレミシステム内の機能の一部として組み込まれていますので、
I have been programmed as one part of the Lemieux system.
手近な端末で呼び出してくだされば、レミューの館内どこにでもすぐに参ります。
Call me from any nearby terminal. I will soon appear anywhere within Lemieux. This is what I missed at the beginning when I decided to listen to Coco's joke as opposed to the explanation.
また、全巻に及ぶ本格的な RSD を採用することで、私の姿形は実現されています。おそらく世界でも珍しいのではないでしょうか。
My image, why wouldn't you want to say like this information? Just for the plot? Like she could have said that Sora was just a projection, but she didn't. She kind of kept that kind of hidden. Whatever. My image reaches you through a network supporting this RSD system throughout the complex. I think that there are a few places in the world boasting this kind of technology.
やっぱり RSD だったんだ。
So it was RSD.
でもここまですごいのは見たことないよ。
I've never seen one this amazing.
レミューの自慢の出し物の一つだからね。
It's one of Lemieux's big attractions. Okay, so that's why Sora didn't go into the decompression tank, because she wasn't a person. But what about Tsumuki?
だから空は停電の間いなくなっちゃってたんだ。
So that's why Sora disappeared during the blackout. And there are 6 life forms. We are switching between 5, 6, and 7.
ええ、どうもご心配をおかけしましたね。
Yes, I'm sorry to have caused you undue concern by, concealing this seemingly obviously revealable information till this far into the game. I had finally lost any sense of what was going on. It sure had me fooled too. Me fooled, though. I had no idea this was happening. Takeshi looked flustered as well. The conversation had taken off and left me and Takeshi behind. What's RSD?
簡単に言うと、半導体レーザーを直接網膜照射する画像表示システム。
Simply put, is an image display system that uses a semiconductor to shine a laser directly on your retina. It's important that it's a semiconductor laser and not a gas one for some reason. I guess pixel density. I see. I nodded. I had no clue what she was talking about. Oh, so that's why you're supposed to leave in the voice changers in your ears, because that might be the way in which Sora talks to you. Instead of having speakers around, she speaks through those earpieces. But I thought it might have been because I had no memory. It also seemed that any more questions would stall the conversation. So I decided to take an I don't get it, but that's okay approach.
それにしても、ずいぶん高度な人格を持たされてるんだね。
So you could explain Coco by saying Coco is also an RSD? And it is supporting such an advanced personality. The surprising thing was Sora seemed to be following the conversation the best.
仮想空間を生み出す技術にレミューは相当なこだわりを持っていますから、私の存在もその一環です。
So when Sora was operating the computer was just operating itself with just fake input. Oh, wow, okay, whatever. Lemieux is fairly perfectionist when it comes to virtual space technologies. My existence is one manifestation of that.
大きなシステムが必要なんじゃない？
Doesn't that require a big system?
そうですね。それでも数十年前に比べればかなり小型になったのではないでしょうか。
Yes, but it's much smaller than it would have been 10 years ago.
どのくらい？それってどこにあるの？見てみたいな。
How big? Where is it? I'd like to see it.
すいません。私の口からは言えません。秘密なんです。
Sorry, but it's not allowed to say. But I'm not allowed to say. It is a secret.
詳細なデータを持たされてないの？
You weren't given the details?
ええ、そうです。
That's correct.
じゃあちょっと質問を変えるけど、空自身の意思は記憶によって変容したり。
Accidentally hit the key I wasn't supposed to hit. Anyway, this may not seem like a big deal, but does Sora's personality change based on her memories? The conversation was getting more and more technical. Sora kept badgering Sora with technical questions. Things about samplings and algorithms and structure this and code that, and jargon was flying around. My head started to hurt. Hey, you. I approached you and tugged on her sleeve. This conversation is crazy complex. What is with Sora anyway?
忍びのもの。
She is a computer ninja of sorts. Stop with the stupid jokes. You puffed out her cheeks as if pouting. It didn't seem she was in the mood for a comeback.
マヨはね、ハッカーなのよ。
Mayo, she's a hacker. Hacker meaning... Naturally, I knows the hacker. Is Sarah a programmer?
趣味でやってる程度だって本人は言ってるけど、
Yeah, but she says it's just a hobby.
でも彼女の腕はプロ顔負けっていうレベルでね。
But she's as good as a pro. You could say, the super high school level programmer.
この間なんかクラッキングコンテストで優勝しちゃったぐらいだし。
Just the other day, she got first place in some cracking contest. Cracking contest?
暗号破りのコンテストのこと。言っておくけど犯罪じゃないよ。
A contest to break codes. Just so you know, it's not illegal.
暗号技術の会社が開催する技術の安全性の確認を目的に行われる合法的なクラッキングで、
It was sponsored by some company with code technology. It was legal cracking to test the security of its technology.
そこでハッカーたちに自社のアルゴリズムをわざと攻撃させるの。
The company had hackers attack their algorithms. Kind of like a decryption game contest?
まあそう考えて差し支えないと思う。
I guess that's one way of putting it. So somewhere in here, Sara is going to hack Lemur. Okay. Oh, so it's a game.
ゲームだと言ってバカにしない方がいいよ。
Just because you call it a game, I wouldn't take it lightly.
なんたって世界中の腕に覚えのある技術者が参加してたんだから。
There were engineers participating from all over the world.
そこで優勝するってことは世界でも屈指のハッカーということになるの。
Winning it means that you are one of the world's best hackers.
世界一って言っても過言じゃないかもしれない。
You could even say the best hacker. The best? That's just way too incredible.
そうね。
I know.
コンピューターにかけては彼女きっと天才よ。
When it comes to computers, she's a genius. I see. It seemed that you truly couldn't tell who a person was by appearances. Apart from being a little mischievous, she just seemed like a normal girl. But Sara just kept talking with Sora about things that I couldn't comprehend. There was a gap between who she appeared to be and who she actually was. I kept staring at Sara from the side in a state of semi-awe. In the end, only Takeshi was completely surprised that Sora was AI. Yu was an employee at Lemur, so of course she knew. Before leaving the room, Tsumugi hadn't seemed that surprised. Sara, who, as was clear by her questions, had a solid grip on the situation. And the whole situation we were in was so crazy I didn't know what to be surprised about. Several hours passed. Oh, we're already getting to the end of the day here. It seemed the sun was getting ready to set. But deep in the ocean, our sense of time was disappearing. Checking my watch was the only way that I knew it was the evening. Nothing changed in Lemu. No one had come to pay a visit. But things hadn't gotten worse. Right now, there was no sign of flooding or impending collapse. We had just been passing the time as we saw fit. For now, we had all forgotten about not being able to escape. I was in the rest area. I sat on the bench and looked at the blooming flowers without really seeing them. There was no one else around. We were going to meet again at 7. Until then, we had free time. I was thinking about Sora, the revealing of what she really was. Sora's real identity. AI, artificial intelligence, a program, a virtual image. Sora didn't really exist. In other words, Sora wasn't a person. But Sora clearly had a will of her own. She could think and act for herself. I knew that much. But with my limited knowledge, everything other than that was beyond me. There were lots of things that I couldn't know. I looked down. The floor was covered with a layer of water. The lights on the ceiling were reflected in the water. It was like the cold light of the moon. I poked my finger into the water. Plop. The water rippled and the surface shook. The light in the water fragmented into disarray, finally returning to its original shapes. I reached into the water trying to grab the light. But I could only grab a little seawater. I couldn't touch the light. I tried again and again, but I couldn't. My hand on the moon.
それで、どこからお話ししたらよろしいでしょうか。
So where should I start explaining? I wish you'd start with the basic stuff. Sora was sitting next to me. At least that is how it appeared to me. I decided to seek out an explanation directly from Sora. What exactly was Sora? It might have been rude asking her outright like this, but I thought that it would be ruder to continue along without really knowing.
わかりました。RSD についてでしたね。
I see, so we were talking about RSD, right? Yeah. It might be something that you really don't want to talk about.
それはどうしてですか？
Why would that be? Well, you're not a person, you're Sora, so asking about systems and stuff, it might be kind of personal. Oh, I don't really know how to say it. I just thought that it might be like someone was peeking inside you and kind of unpleasant. My broken explanation brought a soft smile to Sora's face.
そんなことは気になさらなくていいんですよ。
You don't have to worry about that.
少年さんはさっきおっしゃいましたよね。私が何者であっても、私は私なんです。
What did you just say? I'm Sora, so I am what I am.
たとえ私の根源に関わるようなことをお話しするとしても、それは私自身を知ってもらうことに他ならないのです。
For example, by explaining about what I am, it is a way for you to better understand me. I squeezed my hand shut. Of course, I wasn't holding anything.
それから実は先ほど倉成さんにもご説明したばかりなんです。
Actually, I just explained all this to Takeshi, so when you do Takeshi's route, you get this explanation too. Huh? To Takeshi?
はい。
Yes, he's also an MC. Didn't you know? Sora gently put her hand on her chest. I actually don't know that for 100% certainty. I'm just pretty sure that's the case.
私は皆さんと同じではありませんが、皆さんと同じでありたいと思っています。
But I am different from everyone else, but I want to be the same.
だからこそ、私は皆さんに私を知ってもらいたいのです。
That is why I want everyone to know about me. Saying that, Sora looked at me and slightly dropped her eyes. I felt like pieces of the puzzle scattered on the floor of my mind were about to fall into place. As if enticed by her grin, I became quiet.
では、RSD についてご説明を始めますね。
Well, shall I start with an explanation of RSD? I concentrated on what she was saying so as not to miss anything. She placed both of her hands on her chest.
少年さん、ちゃんと私が見えますか？
Kid, can you see me? Yes, I see you.
少年さんのすぐ隣に立っています。間違いありませんか？
Standing right next to you, you're sure? I'm positive.
ですが、
But suddenly Sora faced me and reached out towards me. And then Whoa. Sora's hand slipped without resistance into my chest. Reflexively, I tried to grab her arms, only my hands met with nothing. My hands were in the front of my chest, but there was nothing there.
そう。
It's like that scene. So, like Doki Doki Literature Club. What's her face? Yuri holds the protagonist's hand to her chest. Never Seven. Haruka holds Makoto's hand to her chest. Now Sora is pushing her hand into the protagonist's chest.
少年さんは今、私を見ています。
So you are seeing me.
しかし私は、実際に少年さんの隣にいるわけではありません。
Not right next to you. Saying this, Sora pulled her hand back.
RSD、レティナルスキャニングディスプレイ。網膜操作による表示装置です。
RST stands for Retinal Scanning Display.
この表示装置には表示部がありません。
The display device is not actually a display.
網膜に向けて出力の弱いレーザーが照射されているのです。
Rather, a weak laser is aimed at your retina. Retina, you mean my eye?
はい。
Yes.
各部屋や通路の天井には半導体レーザーの出力装置がついています。
The ceiling of each room and corridor there are semiconductor laser output devices.
それで少年さんの網膜自体に直接画像を映し出しているってことになりますね。
So the image is being directly reflected on your retina. Except I don't know what reflected. It's not reflected image.
ええ、はい、私の画像です。
Yes, my image. Directly on my retina.
一般的なホノグラフィックスクリーンは背後にある物体を透過してしまいますが、
Holographic screens typically allow for the objects behind them to be visible.
眼球そのものを仮想画面として扱い、また周囲背景と合成した画像を高速で送り続けることで、その問題はクリアされています。
This system uses the eyeball as a virtual screen and continually sends an image synthesized with the background scenery. Well, what's with your voice? Sounds like your voice is coming from where your mouth appears.
少年さん、3D サウンドって聞いたことはないですか？
You ever heard of 3D sound? 3D sound?
ヘッドフォンをつけて音楽を聞いたことは？
Listen to music using headphones? Probably, but I can't remember, so I don't know for sure.
そうでしたね。失礼しました。
Oh, that's right. Sorry about that.
では答えを言ってしまうと、大抵の人は音が後頭部の中心あたりで鳴っているように聞こえるはずです。
To answer my own question, most people hear sound as if it is reverberating inside the rear center of their head. Inside their head? I tried to visualize what she meant. A melody playing in my mind. I could get a vague sense of what she said. Yeah, I think I kind of see what you mean. I think I've probably heard something like that before.
でも、実際には音が頭の中で鳴っているわけではない。
The sound is not actually coming from inside your head. I suppose not.
これを応用して左右の音量調節および反響音のシミュレートを的確に行うことができれば、
But if you could apply this knowledge and adjust the volume from the left and the right to accurately simulate this reverberating sound,
前後左右上下どの方角からでも音が聞こえているように錯覚させることができます。
they create the illusion that a sound was coming from any direction, above or below, left or right. I see. So that would be the voice converters. I still had both of them in my ears. I removed them. They were about the size of my little finger. In front of me, Sora's mouth moved soundlessly. It was like I couldn't hear her voice. But that wasn't all. When her image started to get, then her image started to get a little fuzzy. Huh? When I replaced the voice converter, Sora returned to normal.
投影する映像の定位の修正を左右対になった変換器の位置で行っているんです。
The image's position is based on the location of the voice converters.
少年さんがどこにいてどちらの方向を向いているのか、
So whenever you stand in whichever direction you face,
レミはそれを常に館内のセンサーと変換器からのデータを用いてミリ単位で計測しています。
is constantly using sensors around the complex that monitor the position of the voice converters to a millimeter.
ですから私が少年さんの背後20メートルの位置にいるときには、
So that when I am 60 feet behind
ちゃ
you,
んと少年さんの背後 20メートルの位置にいるかのように音声が聞こえるようになっているのです。
My voice will sound as if I am exactly 60 feet behind you.
右にいる時には右から、左にいる時には左から。
When I am to the right, it sounds to the right. When I am to the left, it sounds to the left. I probably will not remember that there's this voice line in here somewhere, and I need to like edit the audio so that comes in one ear and the other ear, but whatever.
下にいる時には下から。
When I am under you, it sounds under. When you are under.
えーっと、
Oh well.
とにかくそういうことなんです。わかりました？
Anyway, that is how it works. Do you understand?
少年さん、今度はちょっと左を向いてみてください。
I tried to face a little to the left. I faced to the left as she said. So I stood and moved around to my right.
さっき私はレミが少年さんの位置と向きを常に把握していると言いましたが、
Just a moment ago, I said that Lemay is constantly monitoring your position and direction you are facing.
同時に少年さんの眼球の動きと位置も常に計測し入力しているのです。
At the same time, Lemay is also monitoring the position of your eyeballs.
ですから少年さんが動いても私は同じ場所に立っているように見えます。
So that even if you move, I still appear in the same place.
そう見えるような画像をレミがスキャンしているということです。
This means that Lemay scans the image on your eye in the same way. So you can be made to suddenly disappear or reappear in another place?
見たいですか？
Do you want to see it? No, I think I'll pass. I suddenly imagine Sora disappearing and fleeting around here and there. Somehow it's kind of like a ghost.
ええ、よく言われます。
Yes, I hear that a lot.
同じ場所にいて同じものを見ているにもかかわらず、ある人には見えてある人には見えない存在。
Being in the same place and looking at the same thing, only some people can see it and some people can't.
私は見たことはありませんが、もし本当に幽霊みたいなものがいるとするなら、
I've never seen one, but if ghosts really do exist,
それはきっと私と同じような存在なのでしょう。
I'd imagine they exist much the way I do. Now I get it. But there is something that bothers me.
何でしょう？
What is it? Sora, so you can't be in more than one place at a time? For example, you couldn't be in one room talking to me and another room talking with Sora?
理論上は可能です。
Theoretically, it is possible.
しかし私の場合、それはできない仕様になっています。
However, the way that I am designed, I can't do that. Why not?
お客様にリアリティを感じていただくためだと思われます。
I imagine it's to help maintain an image of reality for visitors.
世界中に空という存在はたった一人しかいない。
So that there is only one Sora in the world. Why'd she introduce herself as like, yeah, since I'm the assistant director, but like sometimes I have to do the introductions in the decompression room because we're short on staff. Anyway,
そういう設定にしておかないと、お客様の中には混乱なされる方もいらっしゃいますし、
without that kind of setting, visitors would get confused.
それと制作者のポリシーですね。
That and it was the policy of my designer, which was use dad, right?
私を独立した人格を持った一個のキャラクターとして扱おうとした制作者のポリシー。
The policy of my designer was to create me as a character with an independent personality.
そういえば、ユナイテッドランドのキャラクターも同様だと聞いたことがありますね。
That reminds me, I've heard the same thing about the United Land characters.
館内に着ぐるみのマスコットは1体ずつ。
There's only one of each character in the park.
物語の中と同じように、同じ種類のキャラクターが2箇所に存在しないように配慮されているそうですよ。
Like in the story, there can't be any one character in two places at the same time. It makes me again think about two kids in the same time, at the same, two versions of the kid at the same place at the same time. The time for our gathering was getting near, so Sora and I headed for the conference room. It seemed strange that Sora, who could teleport anywhere, instantly was walking. Maybe she was doing it to humor me. I was wondering about the laser retina scan. So if I were in a place where that the laser couldn't reach, then I couldn't see you?
もちろんそうです。 ですが、
Of course not, but
出力装置は館内のすべての部屋に設置されていますし、光線を反射させるためのミラーも壁、天井、床の構造材に埋め込まれています。
scanning devices are located in every room but the complex, and there are mirrors embedded in the walls, ceilings, floors to reflect the images.
ほとんどどこにいても私の姿を見せることは可能なはずです。
So almost no matter where you are, I can be displayed. So there are no blind spots?
そういう設定になっています。
That's the way it's designed.
けれど、致命的な欠点が一つだけあります。
There's one major flaw that's probably super duper duper plot relevant. Flaw?
私は
gets cut off by something.
誰かに見られることによって初めて具現化することができるのです。
I'm only seen when someone looks at me. What?
誰も私のことを見ていなければ私は存在しないも同然ということです。
I mean that I cease to exist when no one is looking at me.
例えばここにいる5人全員が一斉にまぶたを閉じたりしたら、
For example, if the 5 of you were all closed your eyes at once,
その瞬間私の姿はどこにも存在しなくなってしまうのです。
at that moment I would cease to exist. I casually held hand up in front of my eyes, covering my view, forced forward and looking down near my feet. There was no sign of Sora next to me, as if she had vanished or never been there in the first place. Surprised, I moved my hand and Sora reappeared in the corridor. The outline of Sora's sandals blurred dimly in the water.
誰かが私を見る。
Someone has to see me.
その行為があって初めて私は姿を現すことができる。
I have to be seen in order to exist.
視線。
Vision.
誰かの視点が私を作るのです。
That someone's eye actually creates me.
少年さん、
Kid,
あなたが目を閉じたとき、私は消えてなくなるのです。
when you close your eyes, I disappear. Eventually, we reached the conference room. Sora's face was one big smile, but somewhere in her smile seemed a hint of sadness. At least, it appeared that way to me. Well, ending it there, goes into Sad Machine by Porter Robinson.